come up to do the invocation, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good evening. Could we all stand please for the invocation? Almighty Lord, we thank you for our many gifts. We thank you for our gifts of family, friendship, shelter, harvest, and community. We thank you for our new County Commissioner, Cabrera, who is here with us tonight. And tonight, we especially thank you for the gift of history that you have given our city and that our city has treasured for almost 100 years. Here we are celebrating our newest addition to the Historical Society Museum, and we ask for your blessing and guidance, watching over our historical city for many, many years to come. For these and all of our gifts, we are eternally grateful. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mayor. And now we're going to have Boy Scout Troop 334 and Girl Scout Troop 564 and 3564 present the colors.
Color guard, attention. Audience, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, post the colors. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. God salute. Two. Color guard dismissed.
God bless America, land that we love, and beside her and guide her from the night when you're not from the
Thank you so much. You all may be seated. I'm glad I didn't have to stand. That's all I had to say. Welcome. Welcome. We have a few more seats up here. If anybody would like to sit down, we have a few more seats in the front, okay? Thank you so much for coming. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Miami Springs Adult Community Center. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Angie Aguila, and I'm the assistant manager here at the Senior Center, what we like to call the Taj Mahal of Senior Center. This is not your grandmother's senior center. Well, actually, it is your grandmother's senior center. But what I mean by that is we don't just have meals and play puzzles. We do so much more at the senior center. We opened, for those of you who don't know about our senior center, our adult community center is the proper way to put it these days, our adult community center. We opened last year, and we opened our doors last year. And we do so much more than puzzles and lunch, as a few of our seniors that are in the audience can tell you. We serve 170 meals a day to seniors here. We also provide about 100 meals to homebound residents in the community who are not able to get here. But we actually welcome over 240 seniors through our doors every single day. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. We offer lunch. We offer all sorts of wonderful activities. We have art, music education, exercise classes like Tai Chi and chair yoga. We do a book club, a movie lovers club. What else do we have? What else am I missing?
Bingo!
We've got music, singing. We've got a choral group. We've got ping pong. Thank you. I forgot about ping pong. We have ping pong as well. Bingo. Who could forget bingo, Miss Barbara? That's right. But most of all, what we do here at the Senior Center is we provide a loving, encouraging environment for our adults to come, really where we can just enrich their lives and help them to enjoy their life to the best possibility. And I believe that we're doing that here. And so I have a deep passion for seniors, and I could go on all night long, but that's not what we're here for. So Jaime Petrolanza, our Historical Society president, asked me to introduce our VIPs in the house. So we want to take just a moment to thank you for being here, for taking the time out of your busy schedules. We really appreciate you doing that. So thank you so much. So if I call your name, if you don't mind just standing up and waving to the audience as we welcome you and thank you, okay? We want to start off with, let's just see, we have a very special guest in the house. Our brand new County Commissioner-elect, Kevin Cabrera. Congratulations and thank you for coming. Our own Maria Mitchell, please stand up, say hi to everybody. She's our invitation. Thank you so much for coming. Councilman Bob Best, thank you for joining us this evening. Councilman Walter Barrett, thank you so much for coming. And we have some visitors from our sister neighborhood. I don't want to say it wrong. Vice Mayor Edgar Ayala? Ayala, there we go. Thank you so much for coming. We also want to acknowledge our former mayor, Richard Wheeler. I saw him earlier. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate it. Also, we have my boss, City Manager William Alonso. Thank you for coming, Mr. Alonso. I think I got everybody. Did I miss anybody VIP? I mean, you all are VIP. Thank you so much to each one of you for coming. We really appreciate it. Before I turn the mic over to Jaime, I wanted to say on behalf of the seniors, on behalf of the Senior Center and everyone that comes here, we thank you so much to the Historical Society and to Ken Wilde for spending so much time putting that museum together. And so every single day we have seniors come and enjoy it, but it's not just the seniors that come through the door. Every single person that comes through the door is able to see your satellite museum, and we thank you for that. And we just really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Beautiful building, isn't it? Beautiful building. All right. Tonight we have our newly elected County Commissioner, Kevin Cabrera. He's going to stay around after the presentation, so you can ask him all the questions you want, introduce yourself. This is the man that's going to keep us going forward, so we need to meet him, okay? First, I'd like to thank my wife, Maria, for everything she does. I want to make sure I get this right this time. She keeps me grounded, and yesterday was our 35th anniversary. All right. We've been so busy that last night around 10:30, she looks at me and she says, "Today's our anniversary." I'm like, really? That's right. I've forgotten all about it. We've been so busy trying to get this event together for you folks that we both forgot. All right. On behalf of the Miami Springs Historical Society members, we are privileged and honored to welcome you all tonight to help us make history. This is the first Miami Springs Satellite Museum display. This would not have happened without the cooperation of the city. So a special thanks to some folks. The Mayor, Maria Mitchell, Councilman Fahed. As most of you know, Councilman Fahed is also the principal of AIE School, the charter school here in Miami Springs, and a lot of his students are here. There's Councilwoman Brown just walked in. Everybody say hi. So a lot of his students are here. Those three young ladies and the captain outside, those are his students, and thanks to them for being here tonight. Miami Springs has many students here tonight to help us out. And Council Bob Best, I want to thank Council Bob Best and Council. Thank you for coming, because I was going to have to scratch this part out. Council member Jackie Bravo. Jackie, look, we did it. This is because of you. This year during the budget process, she had a great epiphany. She had a great idea. She says, why don't you guys do a satellite? And we said, you know what, that's a great idea. And Ken took it upon himself along with everyone here. And that's why we're here tonight. And okay. All members are volunteers. Okay. They're all volunteers. So folks, if you have a few times, if you have time, can you please come out and help us out and become one of our volunteers? You can see one of our volunteers here and just let us know that you have time and you're willing to help out. I'd like to also acknowledge our city manager, William Alonso. Our adult community center director, Tammy Key, and the city staff. I'd like to recognize Angel and Irvin for assembling the display. I was asked to, because they did such a good job. The Boy Scouts Troop 334 and the Girl Scouts Troops 564 for leading us today in the Pledge of Allegiance. Le quiero dar gracias a los padres de los estudiantes míos por estar aquí hoy. Y no se olviden que mañana hay examen. So, espero que hayan estudiado. Okay? All right, so enough with that. Let me introduce you a friend of mine, a colleague, Ken Wilde. But let me tell you a little bit about him before we give him the mic so he can do the presentation. Ken holds many professional titles: Miami Springs Historical Society Museum Board member, and he's our historian. Currently serves on the Miami Springs Historical Preservation Board, Curtis Mansion Board member. Ken is currently writing a weekly local history article for the Miami Springs newsletter and the MiamiSprings.com social media platform. For those of you who follow us in Facebook, and if you're not doing that yet, we encourage you to do that. Okay, he is responsible for all the interest posts that you see daily, all of them. In fact, due to his commitment and hard work, our Facebook page has gone from 100 followers 4 years ago to over 18,000 today. That's all due to his hard work. Our posts reach over 100,000 followers a month. That is a lot of folks. Okay? All right, so that's his professional. Let's talk about his personal. Ken has lived in Miami Springs since 1952. 52, a long time. Graduated from Florida Atlantic in 1969 with a bachelor's degree in science with a major in business management and a minor in marketing. Ken and his wife have been friends for a long time. They met when Ken was 15 and Betty was 13 in 1963. He gave Betty his high school ring, and most important, she took it. Okay? It signified they were going together June 1963. Betty was Ken's sister's best friend. Okay. They've been married for 52 years, and they were married right here in our women's club. Anyone here from the women's club tonight? All right. So Ken was married in the same building, Ken? Same building. Wow. Okay, and they have 3 children, Angie, Melissa, and Mike, And 5 grandchildren, Ricky, Faith, Christian, Ethan, and Ella. All 5 grandchildren have the same middle name, Wilde. Okay? Please help me welcome Ken up here, my friend, my colleague. Ken, come up.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, sir. Too loud? Not loud enough? Okay. Is that all right? Okay, so I'd like to do a couple of thank yous myself. One to Dr. Jim Watson for printing and formatting the signs that we have out in our satellite museum. I emailed him the information, printed them up and formatted them, made them fit into those little plastic sign holders in there. So thank you, Jim, for that. I'll never forget that. I'd also like to thank my grandson Ricky Aguila. He's on a cruise right now, so he's not here. But I sent him the information and photos, and he put together this PowerPoint presentation. And my daughter Angie, who spoke with you earlier for her support and assistance, we ran through a trial run of this the other night. She told me I did okay. We'll see how it goes down. And last but not least, my girlfriend of 59 years, who is my wife of 52 years, Betty, for putting up with me spending hours every day doing the things that I love, which is researching and sharing history. And I enjoy talking to people, and I love to research and share our history, but I've never done it before a group before. So if I happen to stumble, give me a little slack and bear with me. You're going to learn things about Miami Springs history that will surprise you tonight. I can guarantee you that. It should be the presentation should be about 20 minutes. If I ramble, it might go to 25, and then we'll have time for a question and answer period after that. So if you've got any questions, if you could hold them until the question and answer period, I'll do my best to answer whatever questions you have regarding the history of Miami Springs, either in this presentation or in the Satellite Museum. In addition to that, if there are any people from here from either Medley, Virginia Gardens, or Hialeah, I stop at the Senior Center usually twice a day. I walk here in the morning as a part of my morning walk. I have coffee usually with Bill Bryson, spend about 15 minutes, and then I usually come back around lunchtime. But if you're a senior or in the Senior Center and see me and have any questions about Miami Springs, Hialeah, Medley, or Virginia Gardens, please, I encourage you to stop me, and I'll be glad to answer whatever questions that I'm able to.
He knows it all.
My wife says she doesn't need Google because she's got me. She actually got me a coffee cup. Okay, so the history of Miami Springs begins with the development of Hialeah. And Angie, if you could, Angie's going to be operating the computer tonight, advancing these slides for me. So this picture was taken in January of 1921, and left to right, this is Glenn Curtis, James Wright, and G.R. Millard. On that property, which is at the intersection of Hialeah Drive and Okeechobee Road, if you look across Okeechobee Road from the incoming bridge, you'll see this property. This was January in 1921. And February 1st, they started construction of a general store there. They called it the Cash Store. It was Hialeah's first post office. It eventually turned into a bus stop when they started bringing land buyers out. It's a 2-story building. Started construction on February 1st, 1921, and April 2nd, it was open. It's a 2-story, beautiful building. G.R. Millard lived upstairs with his family. Now, by April, lots were selling so well in Hialeah that they decided to buy acreage on the south side of the canal and to include a golf course. So the golf course was constructed in 1922. It was originally planned to be on the banks of the Miami Canal, around where the Twin Lakes area is in Miami Springs. But a water source, pure water source, was discovered a little bit farther south, so they changed the locations to where it currently is now on Curtis Parkway. course, was constructed in 1922, but during construction, Curtis Bright donated the golf course to the city of Miami. And that was opened on January 1st, 1923. This is a photo of the original clubhouse on what is now Curtis Parkway. When they opened, Seminole Indians dressed in their colorful natural, I'm not going to call them uniforms, costumes, clothing, acted as caddies. And one of the surprises tonight is that there was a Seminole Indian village that Curtis Bright built for those caddies and their families. Where? On Curtis Parkway. It was a Seminole Indian village where the Lutheran church is now, was an Indian village. It was only in existence for a year, and they moved to another village on Palm Avenue in Hialeah at 17th Street. Okay. Okay, so this is a log cabin that Curtis and Bright built for the Hialeah Gun Club and for the Miami Archery Club. It was built in 1923. In 1926, the Hialeah Gun Club, which only had 75 members, merged with a much larger Miami Gun Club, had several hundred members, and the log cabin was no longer a place to meet, so they abandoned that, and the archery club was moved to the new development of Opelika. So that left this building empty. Shortly after that, it became our first school. It was the smallest school in Dade County, the only one in a log cabin. It was due to open in September of 1926, but a little storm called the Great Miami Hurricane of 1926 came by on the 18th of September, and that delayed opening for a few weeks. This photo was taken on opening day, the second week in October. I forget what the date was, but it was the second week in October. And they remained as a school until 1933. I went over to our museum today and got a couple of props. This is a school bell from the log cabin school. And that building is still in existence. I think it's 281 Glendale Drive, and it still stands today. Okay, so this is the Curtis Bright Administration Building. There's going to be another big surprise with this. My pointer here. See if it's working. Yes. So originally, Curtis Bright had a smaller administration building on First Avenue on the north side of the current bridge on First Avenue in Hialeah. But because they were doing so much business, they decided to construct this building. It is on the intersection of Canal Street and Hook Square. It's the east side of the new apartment building that they're building now. This photo would have been taken from where the outgoing bridge is now. There was no bridge there then, but that's from where this was taken. Now, as you can see, this is where we incorporated in 1926. It was our first town hall, and the building was demolished in the 1950s. However, that little outcrop right there, and I'll show in a better photo later, was not destroyed. During the demolition of the Circle Theater Complex in December of 2019 and January of 2020, I was down there about every day videotaping it for posterity. And when they got to that little building that was Carlos Santana's, he owned the building at the time, it was his office. And before that, the Buck Willingham operated Florida Life back out of it for many years. It was a lobster dealer. So I was videotaping it, and they were knocking down the walls, and I see the bricks were not the white or gray bricks like the rest of the complex, but they were. This is one of them right here. So I salvaged some bricks. At the time, I didn't know the story behind it, but I salvaged the bricks and brought them home and went to look at old photos, aerial photos, and sure enough, that building, that still office was a part of the original Curtis Bright Administration Building. And why did they save it? Well, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing. The person that owned the area built the Circle Theater and demolished the original Curtis Bright Administration Building. It was James Hook, and he was a developer, and he's where Hook Square is named after him. Well, his son-in-law was Buck Willingham, And Buck had this lobster business that he wanted to operate. So that ostensibly is the reason that they didn't tear that down, so that Buck could have a place to operate. During the demolition, before they demolished the far east wall, I went to look at it a little closer, and this is what I got the letters of. It was originally 34 Curtis Square, and then when it was renamed Hook Square, it was 34 Hook Square. So this came from the building, and as did that. There's another block in our display case, a little better shape than this, and there's one in our museum on East Drive. Okay. Okay, this is the incoming swing bridge. It was taken probably from the second story of the cash store. There's now a 10-story apartment building there in Hialeah. We're looking south towards what is now Miami Springs. This is the bridge tender's house. When Curtis donated the money to build this swing bridge and replace a pontoon bridge because of the heavy pedestrian and vehicle traffic that was going on because of the land development, and because all the barges being towed upstream carrying construction material and back downstream with produce from the farms in the west of Hialeah. So when a barge would come through, the bridge tender would take a long metal pole, not 8-10 feet long, with an L shape on the end, insert the L into a slot in the bridge and turn it counterclockwise until the bridge swung open, let the traffic go by. When it went by, swung it back clockwise and closed it. And this shows a policeman here directing traffic. It was, of course, two-way traffic at the time. This is the Hialeah First State Bank. It moved to Hialeah Drive in the 1950s. On the other side about there is where the current Starbucks is in Miami Springs on the circle. That is the circle. This is the Clune Stadnick building. And over here is the Curtis Bright Administration building. And right there is that office that they didn't demolish, that this block came from. And we have another surprise on our next slide. We had a zoo. Hialeah Zoo. The Hialeah Zoo was built in 1922 on the north side of the Miami Canal, between what is now the two bridges, the outgoing and the incoming bridge. There was a zoo there on the banks of that canal. In 1924, they moved it to the north side of the south side of the bridge, which is currently where the Hook Square Shopping Center is where the zoo was. Lots of different animals, including ostriches, which is not on there. This was the entrance to the zoo. It was, the sign was held between two totem poles. We're not sure who this guy is, but this guy here is C.T. McGee. He was an accountant for Glenn Curtis. Hold it up, Mike. So he was an accountant for Glenn Curtis, and later owned the Sinclair Station on Okeechobee Road at Hialeah Drive. Ran for mayor against Henry Mylander unsuccessfully. Unfortunately, was killed in a drunk driving accident on Palm Avenue. He wasn't drunk, the other guy was. You may remember his son, Dr. Harold McGee, who was a veterinarian here for many years. He lived at the corner of Hunting Drive and Curtis Parkway. And CT's grandsons, Major Randy McGee is a retired Metro-Dade major, lives part of the year in Miami Springs and part of the year in Tennessee, and he and Linda may be watching us right now. By the way, we're live streaming this on our Facebook page. Very cool. It'll be, is it, or is it still going? I forgot to thank Nick from AIE Charter School for operating our so the surprise here, in addition to being a zoo here in Miami Springs, there was a famous captain. His name was Charlie Thompson, probably the most famous South Florida fishing guide. You may have seen a picture of him with a 40,000 pound whale shark that's hanging in Cozy Corner now, and it's been all over the internet. Charlie, on one of his extended trips to the Caribbean, brought back 3 iguanas. Charlie was familiar with Hialeah and the zoo. He was trying to go figs. He has figs in Hialeah. He had bought 2 plots of land and he was trying to grow figs there. But anyway, with the iguanas that he brought back, donated to the zoo, and they shortly thereafter escaped. So there's a picture, a 1925 photo in the Miami News of one of those escaped iguanas that had, I'm not sure what the date is that they escaped. It was shortly after Charlie gave it to them. But the picture from the Miami News was taken that had made its way across the street into one of the walls of the Curtis Pride Administration Building. I haven't done any DNA tests, but I'm theorizing that many of the thousands of iguanas we have here in Miami Springs, every canal in Miami property, many of them are very well likely related to those 3 that Charlie donated. Okay, this is the jewel of Miami Springs. In 1925, Curtis moved. He lived in an estate in Deer Run on the north side of the canal in Hialeah, and he built this larger estate, but it is now 500 Deer Run. His wife Lena called it Dar Arahab, Arabic for house of intent. And Curtis lived there until his death in 1930. Well, it didn't take Lena long to get married. They had a friend called Sarah Wheeler, who was a family friend, and within a year after Curtis's death, Lena and Sarah got married. They lived there in the Curtis estate until the 1940s. And now it's called the Curtis Mansion, and it is top-rated wedding and event venue in Florida. It's always right at the top of the ratings, and they do a really good job on running that place. Okay, so this building is Everglades Construction Company. Current location would be 201 Westwood Drive. That probably sounds familiar to some of you people. That's our city hall. Surprise about this building, that was owned by Glenn Curtis's half-brother, Carl Adams, and Everglades Construction built all of the roads and sidewalks in Hialeah, in Country Club Estates, and in Opelika. Interesting thing about this building, you can believe it in newspaper accounts, it's hard to believe, but the lot next door was a storage lot for heavy machinery and equipment and trucks for Everglades Construction Company. And the fuel tanks, the storage tanks for these were located in the towers. Now we don't know, it just said the towers. I'm not sure if it was which towers, but can you imagine the fire hazard of fuel being stored in a tower in a building? Those towers and the overhang that goes around the building were destroyed in the Great Hurricane of September 1926. It was demolished in 1964 to make place for our current city hall. Another surprise, we had a nightclub on Westwood Drive. One of the biggest and grandest nightclubs in South Florida was Arabian Nights nightclub. It measured approximately 100 feet wide and 200 feet deep, and it was situated about where the community policing office is now. The shoe repair shop right in there is where it was, right west of the women's club. Completely destroyed in a hurricane of September 1926. Okay. This is the grandest building that was ever built in Country Club Estates, Miami Springs. Glenn Curtis built this as a country club hotel. It was built in 1926. It opened in 1927. But because of the Great Depression, Curtis sold it to Point Lake King John Harvey Kellogg. Kellogg turned it into a Battle Creek Sanitarium, which operated as a sanitarium for many years. During the war, the military took over, and it was a rest and rehab center for returning vets from the European theater. In it's now Miami Springs Nursing and Rehab Center, and it's a protected building. By the way, if you have a chance, if you haven't visited our museum on East Drive yet, we have a audio-visual presentation, theatrical presentation, lots of bells and whistles. It's a recreation of a room from Battle Creek, all the original furniture, original dishware, original light fixtures. This prop I got from the museum today, this is one of the dishes, the original dishes from the Battle Creek. We have a complete set of these on display in our museum. And this was just a Valentine's Day menu from Battle Creek from 1953. Okay, and finally, another surprise, there has never been any springs in Miami Springs. So some of you may recognize this seal. It's right behind Mayor Mitchell's chair. It's been there in the council chambers for many years. The city of Miami Springs, the city of Miami, who owned the golf course, decided they were going to rename it. It was called the Miami Municipal Golf Course at the time, and they wanted to rename it Miami Springs Country Club. So the city fathers, the city manager, thought it would be a good idea if the Country Club Estates changed their name to take advantage of the promotion of the golf course. And they put it to a vote, and as you can see, 60 votes for gas and 33 for the change and 27 against. So we have been Miami Springs ever since. And so that's all that I have about Country Club Estates being Miami Springs. If there's any questions that anybody has regarding this presentation or anything in the Satellite Museum outside, I'll be happy to do my best to answer them.
That's
A
great.
question? Okay, thank you very much.
He's here for Ken Wilde again. Great job. Him and Tim Watson have worked really hard at this Starlight and putting the museum together. So keep it going. Keep it going. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. All right, thank you for coming tonight. The presentation has ended, but you can feel free to mingle. Vengan acá, para tirarnos la foto. Ven.